Do you ever find it hard to open up, or you wish you could share more, but you feel really closed? Maybe you have been burned or hurt or betrayed in the past, and your secrets have been disclosed, and you find yourself saying, I'm not doing that again. It's hard for a lot of us to want to open ourselves up. At the root of so many of those fears is the fear of being rejected. Because what we really want is to be loved, absolutely loved. And yet we're afraid that if we show too much of ourselves, it might make us unlovable. And maybe we don't think those words, but we often think things like, what if they find me weird? What if they find me boring? What if they find me too much? What if they don't like me after they know that? And so it's easy, all of us, we have certain identities that are more comfortable, or certain pieces of ourselves that we're willing to share. And then we kind of just try to keep that reputation out there and like, this is me right here, right? Like, this is what I want you to know about me. And yet people can love that. And sometimes it doesn't feel like they know us and love us. And we hear, maybe you have heard me do a video where I say, vulnerability, like a meaningful relationship, is where you both feel seen in a safe and satisfying way. But to feel seen, you have to reveal, and you have to let your friends get to know you more and more every time. And so maybe you're the one who does most of the listening in the relationship, or maybe you talk a lot but you don't share much that's close to you, or maybe you've got this persona that is important for you to keep, a therapist, or some kind of a role that we're used to, being the one who doesn't share. Or maybe we just tend to kind of be quiet and clam up. And so there's so many ways we hide ourselves. But when we want to be in more loving, connected relationships, we want to practice opening up more. And so this is a series where I'm talking about each of the 3 requirements: positivity, consistency, and vulnerability. And each of us undoubtedly struggles with one, maybe more than the others. So I did one on how to add positivity when you don't feel positive, when you're depressed or anxious. I did another video on how to feel consistent when you actually feel flaky or too busy or don't want to commit and reach out. And this one I'm going to talk about how to practice vulnerability when you actually feel scared to open up. And so here's just a few tips to kind of just get your mind thinking. And what I hope it does is leads you to just being more willing. And so try to listen to this with an open heart and look for where the wisdom is for you in it. And maybe it's a different tip, but just kind of be listening at where you might have an opportunity for a little bit more growth. The first tip I'd like to give is, I think it's helpful to write down and kind of prioritize a few people that you're open to thinking about being vulnerable with. So maybe take a Post-it note and write down a couple of names. Who are the people that you're open to being more vulnerable with? Either because you've known each other a long time maybe, and you think, we interact often enough where it would be nice to be a little more revealed in that relationship. Or maybe it's somebody that you don't know that well yet, but you're like, everything about them so far is open, and I like them, and I want to be close to them. I would like that. And so write their name down. Or maybe it's a friend who has practiced vulnerability with you, and it feels safer maybe for you to say, maybe that's somebody I could practice with. Or somebody who you feel like you have this thing in common that makes it easier. You don't fear being judged as much, perhaps. And so write down the names of a couple of people. It's really important to prioritize people and to kind of make sure our brains see those names, because it helps us look for opportunities in those relationships. It tells us that we don't have to practice vulnerability with everybody, so it doesn't feel as scary to think about, I just need to be vulnerable and just start telling people things. But it helps us say, let me look for a few people that I feel somewhat kind of drawn to, and let me just look for opportunities where I might be able to start sharing a little bit more about myself with these people. And so identifying a few people, I think, helps make it a little bit more manageable and safe. It helps us be more thoughtful. There's something there that's telling us that this is a good person to perhaps practice with. The second tip I have is that our vulnerability should always be incremental. It should be escalating in small ways. And so don't ever think of vulnerability as I'm an open book and that I just need to go tell somebody everything or tell somebody that thing that's hard. Just think of it as every time I interact with somebody, I hope that we get to know each other a little bit more. So what's that little bit more that I can share? What is a story that I could add to the file of who I am? What's one more, an opinion or a piece of my history or something I've been thinking about lately that just kind of keeps rounding out a picture of who I am and lets this person see me a little bit more. So think of it as incremental and think of it as little pieces of a puzzle. The goal is not to go dump a whole puzzle on somebody and be like, put it together, figure it out. Now you have all the pieces. The goal is just that every time we interact, we hopefully enjoy adding another piece to the puzzle and learning something more about each other. And so it should always be incremental. That helps you hopefully feel safe doing it. It doesn't mean that you just need to cross your fingers and tell somebody something hard and hope for the best. It means we're being thoughtful and we're sharing a little bit. And it should always be in conjunction with the other two requirements of relationship. So vulnerability is one side of the triangle, positivity and consistency. And so as we practice vulnerability incrementally up the triangle, we practice it as it feels good, as we're getting good signals back from the other person, and as we interact more frequently, and that interaction feels more reliable and more consistent and more trustworthy. And so we practice little things, and then hopefully it feels good and there's no punishment or repercussion, or that they don't go tell anybody anything, and that we feel like we interact more and we can do these three things together. So just think of it as pieces, as small steps, and invite yourself just to add a little bit more. So maybe it's when you get together, you just are saying, okay, I'm going to make sure that I share what I've been thinking about lately. So I'm going to make sure that I offer that up. And I do have another video if you feel like your friend does all the talking and that part of the reason why it's hard for you to be vulnerable is to actually get a word in edgewise. I have a whole separate video for that. So Google that and find that one. But in terms of just making sure you're willing to take that space and looking for the opportunity to take that space, think through how you can share something that matters to you a little bit more with people. All right, so prioritize the people. Think about it as incremental and as kind of small things. And the third tip I'm going to give is a vulnerable tip, and that is it's okay to name that we feel vulnerable being vulnerable. So it's okay to be honest and admit that we feel vulnerable about this. And I think that's a bonding thing in and of itself in our friendships. So I'm okay. I think it's a bonding, wonderful piece of us to share that we are uncomfortable with this. So we could say to a friend, I find that in most of my friendships, I end up being the listener. I'm just much more comfortable listening often than I am sharing, but I really want to make sure that that we build a healthy relationship. And so I'm going to try to be more vulnerable. It doesn't come easy to me, but I want that. I want you to know me, and I want to know you. And so I'm going to try to do that. Or maybe it's being able to say, I'm going to tell you something that's hard for me to talk about. I've been burned on this before. I shared this with another friend and I ended up feeling judged for it. And so I would like to try again, and I'd like to share this with you and trust that I won't be judged. And so to be able to kind of name that, or to be able to say to somebody, I've really enjoyed getting to know you, and I find that I like finding out all these things about you, but I don't think I open up as well, and that's something that I want to work on. And I want to, sometimes I think I'm going to be boring, or sometimes I'm worried that you're going to think I'm weird, but you've given me no evidence of that, and you have been nothing but a great friend. And so I'm going to take some risks and share with you some of the weird things about me a little bit more. And so I think it's a beautiful thing to name it, because that's an act of vulnerability in and of itself. It's not even disclosing some big story necessarily. It's just naming how you feel, and that is vulnerability. And it produces a compassion in the person you're talking to. And it usually will produce a reaction where they want to rise up and be that person with you. We want to feel like you trust us. That's bonding. So we feel closer to you already, just you naming that. And it gives us a sense of like, yes, how can I help you? I want you to feel safe with me. And so naming it, or just acknowledging it, or saying this is hard for me, or I often don't talk about myself, and so this is awkward, this is difficult, this is challenging, or I was raised where you weren't supposed to talk about this, and I was raised that you weren't supposed to talk about your accomplishments, and so it's really hard for me, but I want to share with you something that I'm excited about or that I'm proud of. And so it's okay for us to name our hesitancy. Not just okay, it's healthy and it's bonding, and that is a way of practicing vulnerability. So yeah, feel vulnerable and name it and say it and share it. And chances are high that they are feeling that too in so many different areas, and it's a beautiful gift you can give to the friendship. So sometimes it's less about disclosing the actual thing and more about just naming that you feel these feelings and want to still connect with them. And so my hope for you is that you do feel seen, that you feel loved for who you are, and that you feel like you can practice this safely. If you've been burned before, I think of it as like maybe you've had an injury, like you exercise in a way that or had a sport where you had an injury. But it doesn't mean just because we've had an injury doesn't mean we should never exercise again, right? It just means we want to do it in a safe way. And so yes, you may have been betrayed, you may have been burned, you might be scared. But the answer isn't to build up a cast and to keep your leg in a cast for the rest of your life because you were injured once. The goal is to get that leg out of the cast as quickly as possible and strong again, which means walking on it and exercising it and building it back up. And so yes, we want to learn ways to do it in healthy ways. Yes, we want to be thoughtful about who we're sharing with and how much we share. And so yes, we want to be thoughtful as we work out. But we don't want to protect ourselves from not getting the love we want or building up a wall and casting ourselves, putting a cast around our hearts. I want for you, no matter how injured you've been before, to feel like you can build and strengthen it in such a way that you can show more of yourself and trust that we want to see you. We do. You're an amazing person that's worth knowing. We love your weirdness. We love who you are and your stories and your unique perspective. And so don't hide it from us. Please open up, share with us, and trust some of us that we can love you and we can see you. I want that for you.